Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart, Book 5, The Coming of the Bear, 5. Uther had not exaggerated it when he said that the Lady Igraine was well guarded. She and her lord were lodged in a court some way west of the king's quarters, and the court was crowded with Cornwall men-at-arms. There were armed men in the antechamber, too, and in the bedchamber itself, some half-dozen women. As we went in, the oldest of these, a grey-haired woman with an anxious look, hurried forward with relief in her face. "Prince Merlin!" She bent her knees to me, eyeing me with awe, and led me toward the bed. The room was warm and scented. The lamps burned sweet oil, and the fire was of apple wood. The bed stood at the center of the wall opposite the fire. The pillows were of grey silk, with gilt tassels, and the coverlet richly worked with flowers and strange beasts and winged creatures. The only other woman's room I had seen was my mother's, with the plain wooden bed and the carved oak chest in the loom, and the cracked mosaics of the floor. I walked forward and stood at the foot of the bed, looking down at Gorlois's wife. If I had been asked then what she looked like, I could not have said. Cadel had told me she was fair, and I had seen the hunger in the king's face, so I knew she was desirable. But as I stood in the airy scented room, looking at the woman who lay with closed eyes against the grey silk pillows, it was no woman that I saw, nor did I see the room or the people in it. I saw only the flashing and beating of the light, as in a globed crystal. I spoke without taking my eyes from the woman in the bed. "One of her women stay here, the rest go. You too, please, my lord." He went without demur, herding the women in front of him like a flock of sheep. The woman who had greeted me remained by her mistress's bed. As the door shut behind the last of them, the woman in the bed opened her eyes. For a few moments of silence we met each other eye to eye. Then I said, "What do you want of me, Igraine?" She answered crisply, with no pretense, "I have sent for you, my prince. I have sent for you, prince, because I want your help." I nodded. "In the matter of the king?" She said strangely, "So you know already. When my husband brought you here, did you guess I was not ill?" "I guessed." "Then you can also guess what I want from you?" "Not quite. Tell me, could you not somehow have spoken with the king himself before now? It might have saved him something, and your husband as well." Her eyes widened. "How could I talk to the king? You came through the courtyard." "Yes." "Then you saw my husband's troops and men-at-arms. What do you suppose would have happened had I talked to Uther? I could not answer him openly, and if I had met him in secret, even if I could, half of London would have known it within the hour. Of course, I could not speak to him or send him a message. The only protection was silence." I said slowly, "If the message was simply that you were a true and faithful wife, and that he must turn his eyes elsewhere, then the message could have been given to him at any time, and by any messenger." She smiled, then she bent her head. I took in my breath. "Ah, that's what I wished to know. You are honest, Igraine." "What use to lie to you? I have heard about you. Oh, I know better than to believe all they say in the songs and stories. But you are clever and cold and wise, and they say you love no woman and are committed to no man. So you can listen and judge." She looked down at her hands, where they lay on the coverlet, then up at me again. "But I do believe that you can see the future. I want you to tell me what the future is." "I don't tell fortunes like an old woman. Is this why you sent for me?" "You know why I sent for you. You are the one man with whom I can seek private speech without arousing my husband's anger and suspicion. And you have the king's ear." Though she was but a woman and young, lying in her bed, with me standing over it, it was as if she were a queen giving audience. She looked at me very straight. "Has the king spoken to you yet?" "He has no need to speak to me. Everyone knows what ails him." "And will you tell him what you have just learned from me?" "That will depend." "On what?" she demanded. I said slowly, "On you yourself. So far you have been wise. Had you been less guarded in your ways, and your speech, there would have been trouble. There might even have been war. I understand that you have never allowed one moment of your time here to be solitary or unguarded. You have taken care always to be where you could be seen." She looked at me for a moment in silence, her brows raised. "Of course. Many women, especially desiring what you desire, would not have been able to do this, Lady Igraine." "I am not many women." The words were like a flash. She sat up suddenly, tossing back the dark hair, and threw back the covers. The old woman snatched up a long blue robe and hurried forward. Igraine threw it round her, over her white night-robe, and sprang from the bed, walking restlessly over toward the window. Standing, she was tall for a woman, with a form that might have moved a sterner man than Uther. Her neck was long and slender, her head poised gracefully. The dark hair streamed unbound down her back. Her eyes were blue, not the fierce blue of Uther's, but the deep, dark blue of the Celt. Her mouth was proud. She was very lovely, and no man's toy. If Uther wanted her, I thought, he would have to make her queen. She had stopped just short of the window. If she had gone to it, she might have been seen from the courtyard. No, not a lady to lose her head. She turned. "I am the daughter of a king, and I come from a line of kings. Cannot you see how I must have been driven, even to think the way I am thinking now?" She repeated it passionately. "Can you not see? I was married at 16 to the Lord of Cornwall. He is a good man. I honour and respect him. Until I came to London, I was half content to starve and die there in Cornwall. But he brought me here, and now it has happened. Now I know what I must have, but it is beyond me to have it. Beyond the wife of Gorlois of Cornwall. So what else would you have me do? There is nothing to do but wait here and be silent, because in my silence hangs not only the honour of myself and my husband and my house, but the safety of the kingdom that Ambrosius died for, and that Uther himself has just sealed with blood and fire." She swung away to take 2 quick paces and bark again. "I am no trashy Helen for men to fight over, die over, burn down kingdoms for. I don't wait on the walls as a prize for some brawny victor. I cannot so dishonour both Gorlois and the king in the eyes of men, and I cannot go to him secretly and dishonour myself in his own eyes. I am a lovesick woman, yes, but I am also Igraine of Cornwall." I said coldly, "So you intend to wait until you can go to him in honour as his queen?" "What else can I do?" Was this the message I had to give him? She was silent. I said, "Or did you get me here to read you the future, to tell you the length of your husband's life?" She said nothing. "Igraine," I said, "the two are the same. If I give Uther the message that you love and desire him, and that you will not come to him where your husband is alive, what length of life would you prophesy for Gorlois?" Still she did not speak. The gift of silence, too, I thought. I was standing between her and the fire. I watched the light beating round her, flowing up the white robe and the blue robe, light and shadow rippling upwards in waves like moving water or the wind over grass. A flame leapt, and my shadow sprang over her and grew, climbing with the beating light to meet her own climbing shadow and join with it, so that there, across the wall behind her reared, no dragon of gold or scarlet, no fire drake with burning tail, but a great cloudy shape of air and darkness, thrown there by flame, and sinking as the flame sank, to shrink and steady until it was only her shadow, the shadow of a woman, slender and straight like a sword. And where I stood, there was nothing. She moved, and in the lamplight built the room again round us, warm and real and smelling of applewood. She was watching me with something in her face that had not been there before. At last she said in a still voice, "I told you there was nothing hidden from you. You do well to put it into words. I had thought all this, but I hoped that by sending for you I could absolve myself and the king. Once a dark thought is dragged into words. It is in the light. You could have your desire. You could have had your desire long since on the terms of any woman, as the king could on the terms of any man. I paused. The room was steady now. The words came clearly to me from nowhere, without thought. I will tell you, if you like, how you may meet the king's love on your terms and on his, with no dishonor to yourself or him, or to your husband. If I could tell you this, would you go to him? Her eyes widened, with a flash behind them as I spoke, but even so she took time to think. Yes. Her voice told me nothing. If you will obey me, I can do this for you, I said. Tell me what I must do. Have I your promise, then? You go too fast, she said dryly. Do you yourself seal bargains before you see what you are committed to? I smiled. No. Very well, then, listen to me. When you feigned illness to have me brought to you, what did you tell your husband and your women? Only that I felt faint and sick, and was no more inclined for company. That if I was to appear beside my husband at the crowning, I must see a physician tonight and take a healing draught. She smiled a little wryly. I was preparing the way, too, not to sit beside the king at the feast. So far, good. You will tell Golorus that you are pregnant. That I am pregnant! For the first time she sounded shaken. She stared. This is possible? He is an old man, but I would have thought... It is possible, but I... She bit her lip. After a while she said calmly, Go on. I asked for your counsel, so I must let you give it. I had never before met a woman with whom I did not have to choose my words, to whom I could speak as I would speak to another man. I said, Your husband can have no reason to suspect you are pregnant by any man but himself. So you will tell him this, and tell him also that you fear for the child's health if you stay longer in London, under the strain of the gossip and the king's attentions. Tell him that you wish to leave as soon as the crowning is over, that you do not wish to go to the feast, to be distinguished by the king, and to be the centre of all the eyes and the gossip. You will go with Golorus, and the Cornish troops tomorrow, before the gates shut at sunset. The news will not come to Uther until the feast. But, she started again, this is folly. We could have gone any time this past 3 weeks, if we had chosen to risk the king's anger. We are bound to stay until he gives us leave to go. If we go in that manner, for whatever reason... I stopped her. Uther can do nothing on the day of the crowning. He must stay here for the days of feasting. Do you think he can give offence to Buddock and Merovius and the other kings gathered here? You will be in Cornwall before he can even move. And then he will move. She made an impatient gesture. And there will be war, when he should be making and mending, not breaking and burning. And he cannot win if he is the victor in the field. He loses the loyalty of the West, win or lose. Britain is divided and goes back into the dark. Yes, she would be a queen. She was on fire for Uther, as much as he for her, but she could still think. She was cleverer than Uther, clear-headed, and, I thought, stronger too. Oh yes, he will move. I lifted a hand. But listen to me. I will talk to the king before the crowning. He will know that the story you told Golorus was a lie. He will know that I have told you to go to Cornwall. He will feign rage, and he will swear in public to be revenged for the insult put on him by Golorus at the crowning. And he will make ready to follow you to Cornwall as soon as the feast is over. But meanwhile our troops will be safely out of London without trouble. Yes, I see. I did not understand you. Go on. She drove her hands inside the sleeves of the blue robe and clasped her elbows, cradling her breasts. She was not so ice-calm as she looked, the Lady Igraine. And then? "And you will be safely at home," I said, "with your honour and Cornwall's unbroken."
"Safely, yes. I shall be in Tintagel, and even Uther cannot come at me there. Have you seen the stronghold, Merlin? The cliffs of that coast are high and cruel, and from them runs a thin bridge of rock, the only way to the island where the castle stands. This bridge is so narrow that men can only go one at a time, not even a horse. Even the landward end of the bridge is guarded by a fortress on the main cliff, and within the castle there is water and food for a year. It is the strongest place in Cornwall. It cannot be taken from the land, and it cannot be approached by sea. If you wish to shut me away forever from Uther, this is the place to send me."
"So I have heard. This will be, then, where Golois will send you. If Uther follows, lady, would Golois be content to wait inside the stronghold with you for a year, like a beast in a trap, and could his troops be taken in with him?" She shook her head.
"If it cannot be taken, neither can it be used as a base. All one can do is sit out the siege."
"Then you must persuade him that unless he is content to wait inside while the king's troops ravage Cornwall, he himself must be outside, where he can fight."
She struck her hands together. "He will do that! He cannot wait and hide and let Cornwall suffer. Nor can I understand your plan, Merlin. If you are trying to save your king and your kingdom from me, then say so. I can feign sickness here until Uther finds he has to let me go home. We could go home without insult and without bloodshed."
I said sharply. "You said you would listen. Time runs short." She was still again.
"I am listening."
"Golois will lock you in Tintagel. Where will he go himself to face Uther?"
"To Dimmerlioch. It is a few miles from Tintagel, up the coast. It is a good fortress, and a good country to fight from. But then what? Do you think Golois will not fight?"
She moved across the fireside and sat down, and I saw her steady hands deliberately spreading the fingers on her knee.
"And do you think the king can come to me at Tintagel, whether Golois is there or no?"
"If you do as I have bid you, you and the king may have speech and comfort of the other. And you will do this in peace. No," as her head came up sharply, "this is the part of it you leave with me. This is where we come to magic. Trust me for the rest. Get yourself only to Tintagel, and wait. I shall bring Uther to you there, and I promise you now, for the king, that he shall not give battle to Golois, and that after he and you have met in love, Cornwall shall have peace. As to how this will be, it is with God. I can only tell you what I know. What power is in me now is from him, and we are in his hands to make or to destroy. But I can tell you this also, Igraine, that I have seen a bright fire burning, and in it a crown and a sword standing in an altar like a cross." She got to her feet quickly, and for the first time there was a kind of fear in her eyes. She opened her mouth as if to speak, then closed her lips again, and turned back toward the window. Again she stopped short of it, but I saw her lift her head, as if longing for the air. She should have been winged. If she had spent her youth walled in Tintagel, it was no wonder she wanted to fly. She raised her hands and pushed back the hair from her brows. She spoke to the window, not looking at me.
"I will do this. If I tell him I am with child, he will take me to Tintagel. It is the place where all the Dukes of Cornwall are born, and after that I have to trust you."
She turned then and looked at me, dropping her hands.
If once I can have speech with him, even just that, but if you have brought bloodshed to Cornwall through me, or death to my husband, then I shall spend the rest of my life praying to any gods there are that you too, Merlin, shall die betrayed by a woman.
I am content to face your prayers. And now I must go. Is there someone you can send with me? I'll make a draft for you and send it back. It will only be poppy. You can take it and not fear.
Rafe can go, my page. You'll find him outside the door. He is Marsh's grandson and can be trusted as I trust her.
She nodded to the old woman, who moved to open the door for me. Then any message I may have to send you, I said, I shall send through him by my man Cadle, and now good night. When I left her, she was standing quite still in the centre of the room, with the firelight leaping round her. And that is the end of chapter 5.